One of the most important things as a volunteer and organizer is why are you here? These questions about Democrat all lead to what is your message? We know the Democratic Party has bad messaging, but where we want to get to, and actually Megan's back, and we talked about this the other day. Megan Fern here. It's important why you are doing this, why you're asking your friends and family to get involved. There are issues that are important to you and it's never about electing a specific candidate, no matter how good he or she is. It's about that you have concerns, and we'll talk about in the breakout room. You have concerns about reproductive rights. You may have a gay relative. You may climate change. Those are all things that when you talk and find your authentic voice, your message, that's what's going people are going to relate to. So building on what May rose in the questions, what I like everyone to do in these sessions to walk away with is what is that inner voice? Why are you asking your friend and neighbor to get involved? And once you can answer that, and then you're actually doing them a favor because you're asking them to help solve these problems, solve these issues. I think these sessions are really important this time of year. I think the number one thing I personally want you all to get out of this that you're part of the community. We have people from across the state, we have people from other states, and we're all trying to get the same thing to get to the same place, how we could win back what we lost here. So I'm going to ask the host to report back out, and then we're going to give you some real practical tools on how you can recruit your friends and neighbors. So, Monica, you want to start first?
Okay, I mean, of course a range of emotions. I think that everyone said, kind of deep down, yes, I'm proud because the Democratic Party represents my views, and the other party is, so far from them. But at the same time, there are all things that we're not proud of about the party, and I think that's true of life in general. We may be very proud of our career, but here and there's a little thing that we, are not proud of. And I think the feeling is that this community that we're building and what we're doing is, kind of getting us back to where we can really get out there and really get fighting, which I think we need to do if we're not doing it already by making phone calls to our representatives. We need to, kind of quickly get out there and get fighting and get our leaders to do so. Um, this is expressed by one or two people. I'm sorry, this is my own view, is that one thing that I'm least proud of is how our leaders have been in terms of visibility. In that I feel like they should be countering every bad thing they do with a mic in their hand on the nightly news. And it seems a little absent.
Oh, great. All right. Hey, Declan, you want to go next, please?
Yeah, well, a lot of the similar stuff. I think the main thing that I took out from what everybody said, and thank you everybody who was in the session who shared your views, is people are proud to be part of the Democratic Party because it's the party of community, it's the party of empathy, it's the party that represents a broad view of America. It's the party that stands up for people's rights. It is not the party of rugged individualism and screw your neighbor, screw everybody else, so long as I can get ahead. So, yeah, people are anxious, people are worried, but I think we're building something. Here we've had it for a long time, and now we're growing it. And I think, as you said earlier, in January to have this many people talking about these issues was fantastic. It was good for me, and I think hopefully it was good for the rest of the people in the session. But yeah, we're the party of empathy, party of community, party of caring, and um, that's why everybody's here. I think.
Absolutely. Great. How about Howie and Susan? Your group, please.
Well, the feelings
By the
were,
way, Howie's been with us. He's from Massachusetts. So you don't have to be in Montclair. We got people from all over the country. Thank you, Howie.
all right, there was general detest of Donald Trump and the way he's leading the country at this time. There's a general feeling that the Republicans are more unified than we are at this time. everybody is looking for ways to counter what's going on in a safe way so that we can get results. And I think most of the comments fit into that general umbrella. And I'd like to add one thing from me. I think that DNC could do a much better job of communicating with people like us who do a lot of work, because sometimes I think they think we're ATMs.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Susan, you want to add to that?
I do. I took down a lot of specific notes that people said, and as you know, I will send them to you specifically, Cary.
By the way, Susan is our rain man. If you ever want to know the election laws in South Georgia, she'll tell you in the middle of the night. So she's amazing.
Once I look them up, if they're still available, right, on the web.
Well, if available is the operative thing. Anyway.
One of the things that I think that many people said is, as Howie said, the Republicans are unified in their messaging and they work in lockstep. And we, with our very diverse backgrounds and our very diverse issues, sometimes come against each other because we're not good in this issue and that person's not strong in that issue. So once again, it's the perfect being the enemy of the good, right? But it's also, we had a lot of questions about the messaging. How do we get at what we've already done? How do we counteract the untruths that are coming from the other side? How do we focus on the bigger pictures, the immigrants that are doing great, rather than the immigrants who are, rather than the tiny little cameos that the Republicans pull up that are where immigrants do bad things. So a lot of what people were talking about was messaging. And also, as Declan said, we are supposed to be the party of empathy, but you can't teach empathy. You have to have empathy. How do you get empathy to override selfishness? If you're a business person, if you're only looking at your bottom line, if you're only looking at your taxes, if you're buying into the Republican messaging about that stuff, there are a lot of questions around those kinds of areas, a lot of really specific nitty-gritty things that the Republicans tend to focus their messaging on, where when we focus on other softer issues that really engage our hearts and our minds and our bodies.
That's great.
I think,
I'm sorry. And then last but not least, Mayrose, who started this whole thing. Well, where are you? And then we have a short session after this. Mayrose?
Sure. A lot of what was talked about in our room has been shared out already. The one last point I'll make from our group is that we have a lot of folks from our breakout room who are ready to take action, ready to mobilize and build something. We are looking for the strategy here, and I think that is why we're here tonight. We're looking for what is next, because we're ready to take action. Well, some folks are still sad and angry and grieving what happened in the last election. Folks are ready to get to work.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we have, once again, January 30th, an off-year election. We have 61 people here. We have 25. There's activity. And the other thing I see a lot of young faces. We're actually going to do sessions for under 40, just so you know. So keep an eye out for those.